What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here. Thank you for stopping by. And we have some breaking Corey Feldman news. It's actually really interesting. For those of you who've been following the channel, you know I talk about Corey Feldman a lot. I don't cover his everyday breaking news happenings. We got the Jim and Thems and the Drew Lanes for the breaking news flashes from Corey Feldman every day. But every once in a while, something happens with Corey Feldman that I feel compelled to talk about. And that does include Dancing with the Stars. I will absolutely be talking about Dancing with the Stars episode by episode as long as Corey Feldman lasts. But if you guys know anything about Corey Feldman's dance skills, of course he's going to go all the way to the end, okay? But this is interesting. So Netflix dropped a 2-part documentary on Charlie Sheen, basically his entire life and times, right? Past, present, and future, his career, drug use, movies, TV shows, and it's split into 2 parts. The second part is where a lot of this juicy stuff is that we're going to be talking about today. I had started to watch the first part, wondering if this was going to be brought up, these allegations from Corey Feldman. It didn't happen in the first part, but I did notice that people were started to talk about it today, that he does actually directly address the allegations from Corey Feldman that were supposedly given him from the words and lips of Corey Haim. So we're going to dive into that. We'll talk about what the allegations are, and we're just going to kind of react to this video because they kind of explain the allegations and things like this. Due to copyright, I might have to explain some of the clips and cut that out. The allegations against Charlie Sheen coming from Corey Feldman were that one day Corey Haim came to Corey Feldman and told him that on the set of NUKES, when he was 13 years old, Charlie Sheen, who was then in his early 20s, maybe even a late teenager, I'm not sure of his age. I'll put it right here because I'm not sure. But in some shed or backroom area in between scenes, Sheen had assaulted Corey Feldman, very graphically to explain that he grabbed a scoop of Crisco oil as lubricant and assaulted Corey Haim on the set of NUKES, which is just absolutely insane. And he is asked point blank in this documentary if these allegations are true. And his response is interesting. So we're going to pull this up and we're going to react to this. I may have to cut some of it for copyright because Netflix is pretty big with their IP, but we're going to watch as much as we can here. And let's get Charlie Sheen's reaction to these allegations because it's pretty crazy.
Corey Haim allegation, did that happen?
Absolute fucking bullshit. This is where everybody's
absolutely fucking bullshit.
Pause the doc and go find the fucking.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Go for it. They'll at that point they'll have read more of it than I have.
Okay, and then I'm going to pause here. Then there's a little montage, which I don't want to get hit by copyright, and it goes through all the news articles and newscasts and broadcasts and shows the barrage of reports that happened. This was a huge deal. When these allegations dropped against, and I'm mentioning this for a specific reason for something Sheen says later in his comments about this, this was a big story. When Corey Feldman dropped the documentary, he held a live event which supposedly got hacked and it was sabotaged by the powers that be. You know, who knows what really happened with that. But he produced a documentary called The Rape of Two Coreys. And in this documentary, the allegations came out and this exploded. The news of Charlie Sheen assaulting Corey Haim was huge. It was everywhere. It was a massive story that was going really viral. And let's hear a little bit more about what Charlie Sheen thought of these allegations before I give my 2 cents here.
I should have taken legal action against.
Then why didn't you?
You know, there's a lot of good people in this industry, but there's also a lot of really sick, corrupt people in this industry.
But I didn't feel like giving that clown that much more.
Calls him a clown.
Content. He just went out of his way to launch this thing, and we were friends back in the day. I sort of thought it's a piece of vile fiction, is what it is. The guy's
a piece of
mom
vile
came out
fiction.
and said this is impossible. This is impossible. So yeah, no, that one just fuck off. You know.
Fuck off. Calls him a clown and tells him to fuck off. There's a couple interesting things I say there. First of all, For him to say, I mean, I know his mom said it's impossible that happened. I know she's very contentious with Feldman about how he talks about him, being that Corey Haim is not here to defend or confirm, deny these allegations that Corey's constantly talking about. In my opinion, I don't think it's impossible. I think it's very possible that this did happen, but it is somebody's word against another person's word. It really is at the end of the day. Is it possible? I think, yes, it is possible. There's lots of horrible things that happened to Feldman and Haim back in the day that you probably don't want to think could or did happen to your son. And it sucks when somebody else after your son's death goes on and keeps bringing these things up. So I understand why she might say that. I also think there's some interesting distancing language, the way Charlie Sheen, the guy, it's like, you know who he was. You know, his name's Corey. He said the guy's mom. I thought that was interesting. People use that. I watch a lot of interrogation videos, and people will use the distancing language by saying that guy or my son instead of saying the name of the person. You know, he does very strongly deny the allegations, but for him to say the guy's mom, I thought was a little interesting. To say that Corey Feldman went out of his way to talk about these allegations. I think if you're going to go out of your way to talk about anything, you know, exposing the horrible people in Hollywood is something you go out of your way to do. So there is some minimizing, in my opinion. But the most interesting aspect of, I think, his response to that, because obviously he could be lying. None of us were there. We don't fucking know. The person that was there that supposedly made these allegations is now unfortunately passed away. So we have just Corey Feldman to believe, but that was his best friend. So it is credible. It's a credible allegation. But my big question is, if you should have sued him, you should have sued him immediately. Why didn't you? Why didn't you? At this point in time, he was the highest paid person on television, allegedly having hundreds of millions of dollars. If it were me, and somebody were coming at me making these horrific allegations of sexual assault, like brutal rape allegations, I would have sued the fuck out of them. If I knew for a fact that somebody was lying about something that serious, and this story blew up when that documentary started making its rounds and that clip started making its rounds and that accusation of Charlie Sheen started going around, it was a massive story for weeks about him assaulting this person. And with the person who has the means of Charlie Sheen at that time having hundreds of millions of dollars, access to unlimited legal representation, I would have sued the fuck out of somebody who made those type of allegations against me. So it is interesting that he chose not to do it. I should have sued him. I should have sued that fucking clown. He's a fucking liar, making up vile fiction. If that was the case, I would have been filing a lawsuit that day. Because at the end of the day, Feldman doesn't have proof of that. There's no video. Nobody was there. He wasn't there. It was just one person's word against another. And obviously the defamation would have been an allegation like that, of course, is meant with malice to hurt somebody's career. There's a reason you make those sort of allegations. And I certainly would have sued if they weren't true. And it also, you know, does give credibility to Corey Feldman saying that a lot of people gave him a lot of shit for saying that he needed $10 million to release these names. A lot of these names that he would have mentioned that could have potentially have done a lot of these sexual assaults in Hollywood are very high power people with millions and millions of dollars and unlimited legal representation. So it sort of makes sense that he would not drop those names, but that he would drop Charlie Sheen's. So that's kind of interesting, right? That he was so sure of himself to make those allegations that he did do that he was willing to accept some sort of legal backlash. So, you know, and then at the end of the day, Charlie Sheen didn't sue him. So maybe he felt a little safer with that accusation. Maybe he knows more about what Charlie Sheen did, because if you watch that documentary, that guy was off his fucking rocker on coke and drugs and crack and doing everything. So it's possible that even if he did that, maybe he doesn't even fucking remember. I don't know. But the allegations, it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be his word against Corey Feldman's. And at the end of the day, neither of them can prove that the other is lying. It's just it's just one of those things, but it's very interesting to think about. I didn't feel the need to fully watch the documentary. I think as funny as the whole winning arc and the Tiger's Blood era was, I don't need to revisit that. Charlie Sheen seems like kind of a douchebag. I don't know what everybody's opinions on Charlie Sheen's. It definitely looks like an interesting documentary. As of today, right before filming this video, I looked on Corey's Twitter, and he has not addressed anything so far. So he has not addressed anything that Charlie Sheen has said in this documentary. At this point, he's only been posting about Dancing with the Stars. So again, that's it. That's all we have now. But I wanted to talk about this. I think it's an interesting story. I think it's interesting that Sheen allowed so much access to his life, and at least I give him credit for letting the question be asked and being completely transparent, whether or not he's lying about it or not. He did accept the question and put it out there for everybody. A lot of people maybe would have forgotten about that, so you got to give him credit to welcome the Streisand effect again by bringing this stuff up again. That's got people like me talking about it. So, what do you guys think? I don't know. Do you think who's full of shit? Is it Feldman or Sheen? Who knows? I don't know, but stay tuned for more content. I did just drop a Dead Mall tour video. If you guys remember the East Hills commercial back in the day that went viral, I toured that Dead Mall, which is now live on the channel. I also recently did a Corey Feldman versus Howard Stern Battle of the Bands video, as well as a super in-depth Howard Stern video, the sort of what the fuck happened to Howard Stern video. So if you're interested in any of that, check it out. And guys, that's it. Until the next time, guys, stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.